Welcome to Ukulele Corner. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at a very useful technique with your left hand, particularly when we're strumming with our right hand and playing some rhythm parts. And let's say you're going to play a chord that has 3 notes on the ukulele, but we don't want to hear certain strings ringing. So we can mute the notes that we don't want and the strings that we don't want with our left hand by covering the strings slightly, putting the surface of the finger on the string but not pressing down hard enough where the note rings. And this takes a bit of practice. So a great way to start is just by playing a muted sound, holding any finger down, and strumming, just a down strum, let's say, with your right hand. And notice here I'm putting 1, 2, 3, 4 all flat on the strings. I could just have my 3rd finger, my 2nd finger, or the 1st. This will give you a muted sound. Now, interesting thing, if you play over the 5th fret or the 7th fret doing that, you might get a little bit of a harmonic, but if you have more than one finger muting, you won't hear the harmonic. So that's a rare situation you might run into. In this particular example we're going to look at with this song that I wrote for you, it's not going to be the case. We're going to be playing down in a lower position, in 2nd position, moving up to 4th position. And so the first chord that we're going to look at to try to apply this technique to is an E chord, just using 3 strings. It's going to use the 2nd fret of the high string. Then with our pinky or the 3rd finger, I'm using my pinky here, play 2 frets higher, 4th fret of the 2nd string, and then 4th fret of the 3rd string. Now it's important actually to use your pinky here and your 3rd finger so that your 2nd finger is free. Now if I strum this chord and hit the 4th string, I'm in the high G tuning, it would sound off. Ooh, it sounds really bad. We don't want that high string in there. We just want to have this beautiful sounding E chord with the top string. So what you need to do there, so that you can strum free and really go wild with your strumming pattern and not have to be so careful about only hitting those 3 strings, we're going to use our 2nd finger to muffle that note. We're covering the 4th string. I'm not using the tip of the finger, I'm using the flat part of the finger. I'm not putting enough pressure. So you hear the pitch. I'm putting just a tiny bit of pressure down just so it mutes. You can find that point of where the string rings, where it rattles a little bit, and then where it's nicely muted. So I'm putting that pressure right over about the middle of the 3rd fret there with my 2nd finger. Now, I can do a down strum using my index finger or up strum. Any sort of right hand strumming that you use, now we're not going to hear that open string. So that is the heart and soul of what this technique of left hand muting is all about. So I wrote a challenge for you. We're going to move from this chord, an E, we're going to go to an F sharp chord, and a very unusual way of playing the chord. It's going to be switching to 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. We're going to use that finger to lay usually exactly what you don't want to do, right? Is have your finger flat. We always try to get on the fingertips so you don't get that muffled sound above. Now, hey, finally it's totally fine to let your finger collapse so I can muffle that note. 1st finger's on the 2nd fret, F sharp of the 2nd string. Pinky is on the high string on the 4th fret. So now we're going to get those 3 notes, but the 3rd string is muffled. So if I go from the 1st chord, my 2nd finger is right in place there. It puts pressure down. I switch my pinky and 1st finger around. I let the 2nd finger mute. Very clean, 3-note chords blocking the open strings that we don't want and muting. So when you first try this, it's very common to put a little too much pressure and get a note to ring on the fret that you're trying to actually mute. So go back to the exercise of just using 1 finger at a time. You can try maybe put pressure down on the 4th string, but mute the higher strings. I'm just getting that 1 note. You hear a little bit more of noise when I do this, right? But it's still the technique we want. I could try the same thing with my 2nd finger, but muting with my 1st finger, 3rd finger, pinky. Do various exercises, and with each finger you can practice your ability to be able to mute the strings until it gets very comfortable, not putting too much pressure and getting the notes to stop. Okay, so if we're going to transition just with a simple down strum, E to this F sharp shape. See how clear and clean that can be? We can strum nice full chords and we're muting. Now for a challenge, I added a few more chords. We're going to go up 2 frets, 4, 6, mute, 6. First finger is going to mute, and then my pinky is going to mute the high string. There's a PDF that goes along with this, the left hand muting exercise, and you'll see the X's and an indication of which finger in the left hand to use to mute. Now this gives us a nice B chord. We often play a B chord here. Now, higher inversion. I love this chord shape. Muting the second string. Second string. Muted with the first finger. Now my first finger, going back to that first technique we used, is laying across the strings. From here, I'm going to move up, just pivot, and I get a really beautiful E chord. 4, mute, 4, and 7. Still using the first finger to mute. This will really transform your playing because now you can have very limited, minimal motion with the left hand and get these shifting harmonies. It's great. B to E. Then in the next measure, we're going to go back to original E. Then we're going to go to a different type of F7. Instead of playing that note on the 4th string, I'm going to play, it's an F sharp 7, my 3rd finger down on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. We get mute with the 2nd finger at about the 3rd fret of the 4th string, then 4, 2, 4. That's measure 6. Then we're going to go to a B flat chord based on or a B chord, like a B flat shape up 1 fret, but use our 3rd finger. Instead of putting pressure down, we're going to practice muting that 3rd finger on the 4th string. So we're getting 3, 2, 2. First finger is doing that partial bar chord to get the 2, 2. That's going to fall right back to that F sharp. We're going to pivot and use our 2nd finger to mute, and then back to the B flat. So the E chord, this F sharp, moving up to B, moving up to E in 4th position, back to the original shape, F sharp, and then it's F sharp 7 to the B, F sharp 7, B. With that, we're going to add in a strumming pattern. And the strumming pattern is this: 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And we're playing a down, down, up, down, up. Very common strumming pattern. If I did it without muting, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And now, another aspect of this technique, not only can we mute just the 1 string, we can let go of all the fingers holding in place on the chord and get a muffled sound. And this is a really common technique to do. So I'm muting beat 2 and 4 and. So 1, mute, and 3, and 4, and 1, mute, and 3, and mute. Now add in the chords. Then down strums here. 1 is a B, F sharp, then break. So that is using motion between different chord shapes, muting with the left hand, whether it's 1 string or all the strings. Let me play it again so you can give it a listen. Ready, and... Lots of fun to play. So let's try it together. Let's go nice and slow and give it a try. So practice this a bit. Once you're ready, then give it a go with me. I'll give you a count. 1, 2, 3, play. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and B, E, 4, original E, F sharp 7, down strums B, F sharp, then mute, and 3, and 4. There's a nice little kick there. 1, and 2, and 3. 1, and 2, and 3. So work your way through this and try it at different speeds. See, the faster you play it, the more fun it is. All right. And it's a great exercise using left hand muting.